Do it alone, do it scared, watch yourself bloom. I'm 24 and I just solo traveled to Costa Rica for 10 days. I'm currently in my world is my oyster phase of life. So here are some tips, some advice, and lessons that I've learned along my journey for anyone looking to solo travel that might be feeling called to take that leap, but might have hesitations around doing so. I know that solo traveling can feel really intimidating, especially for young people and especially for women, but it's something that can be super fun and safe and rewarding if you prepare yourself correctly and if you have a little bit of faith along the way. And if I can do it and survive, then you can do it too. First, I'll start by sharing with you some tips and advice that I've learned while solo traveling, and then I'll end with some personal revelations and lessons that I've learned. So first things first, decide where you want to go. It doesn't even have to be international. It can be domestic or even just the next town over. Especially if you've never traveled by yourself before, starting small and working your way up can be super helpful. My first solo trip was when I was 22, and I literally just drove 2 hours over to the next city for a one-night rave, and then I literally came home the next day. But it was a starting place, and it helped me to get the ball rolling and feeling more comfortable doing things by myself. So you don't have to go halfway around the world in order to have a meaningful experience, unless that's what you desire to do, and by all means, go for it. But don't just decide where you want to go, actually feel into your decision. Go somewhere where you actually feel called to go versus on just going somewhere because it's trendy. And make sure to listen to your inner guidance and compass and your personal desires for travel. For me, I chose a very rural part of Costa Rica because I really just needed a chance to slow down, to be more intentional, to assess different parts of my life, to reflect on certain things, and I desperately needed to be in some form of nature because the place that I'm from, whoo child, there's not enough here. And since I wanted to go somewhere that would grant me that slowness and intentionality, going to a place like New York probably wouldn't have given me that same opportunity. Although I absolutely love New York, so no shade there. Also, you have to ask yourself, what kind of experience do I want to have while I'm traveling? Do I want to play tourist? Do I want to have more of an authentic experience? Do I want to get to know the culture more? Do I want to go for relaxation? Or do I want to do something a lot more active and adrenaline inducing? And before booking a trip, ask yourself, is this a place that I actually feel called to go right now? And if you feel an expansion or a pull, then that's the place. But if you don't feel that true excitement or that full body yes when it comes to making a decision on where to go, then it might just be a sign that you're not meant to go to that place right now and your energy is just meant to be somewhere else. I have this philosophy that certain places call us at certain times, and I'm trying to be more intentional with the places that I decide to go by listening to what I need and to where my heart calls me to go. And also make sure to do your research on a place before you go there. Knowing things like the weather, the climate, how to pack, different cultures and customs would be really helpful for any type of travel that you're doing. Because not every single place in the world is like home, so you have to be prepared to do things differently. The second tip I have for you is to make sure that you budget before you go traveling. I know that travel is something that so many of us want to do, especially when we're young, but you need to make sure that you're not going into debt just to take some cool pictures. If you need time to save for travel, save for it. I have a portion of my savings specifically just for travel, so it helps me to balance my money for other things. Because it would be better for you to go to a place when you can have peace of mind knowing that you can actually afford it without going into debt, rather than trying to crawl your way out of debt and literally stressing yourself out on your trip. And it will also grant you a lot more peace of mind when it comes to traveling and being there and having the experiences that you want to have, as well as when you get back from your travels too. Also, you have to spend money, okay? That's a non-negotiable. It just has to happen. You have to spend money. There's literally no way to avoid spending money when you travel. And there are ways to travel on a budget and to travel frugally, but you are going to have to spend money. And I know that for frugal people like me, we have this intimidation around spending lots of money in a short period of time. But in order to travel at all, you are going to have to learn how to overcome the fear of spending money. And that's something that I'm still working on. But I feel like when you travel and you actually put yourself in a situation in which you have to spend money to literally eat and get around and survive, that's when you realize that, okay, I can actually loosen the reins for once, I know I'm going to be okay. And as long as you budget, you shouldn't have a problem. So just make sure that you have enough saved up so you can actually have the experience that you want to have without being super stressed. The next thing I want you to know is that it's totally normal to feel nervous before solo traveling. I always feel nervous before I travel by myself because, yeah, it's a scary thing to do. Traveling takes bravery, but especially traveling alone requires a lot more bravery than you might think. So any nerves that you feel are totally normal, but don't let the nerves stop you from actually taking this leap. But if you feel any form of resistance when it comes to going somewhere, that is something that you need to take a look at. Well, what's the difference between nerves and resistance? Feeling nervous is more like okay, I'm nervous about doing this thing, but I'm also really excited about doing this thing. I actually still want to do this thing, but I just feel a little bit nervous about it. But resistance is more like, I don't want to do this thing. I don't want to go to this place. Something's telling me that something's off, and I feel like it would be best for me to not go somewhere. Resistance is more that guttural, unshakable fear that tells you that something just might not feel right. And it's really important for you to listen to that voice before going anywhere. And it can be pretty challenging to know the difference between nerves and resistance at first, but nerves are more of an excitement feeling versus resistance is more of a dread feeling. And if you're feeling any form of dread about going, I just recommend not going. It might just not be the place for you. But don't let the nervousness, which is totally normal and totally understandable, stop you from actually taking that leap. The next tip that I have for you is to not book every single activity that you want to do while solo traveling in advance. I know some people like to have their entire trip mapped out and down to a T and have every single thing planned, but leaving some space open for spontaneity can give you a sense of flexibility and flow. Because there might be days where you just feel like you need to rest, or you might not want to do the thing that you had booked several months in advance that day. Or you might feel like doing something completely different on a certain day. So I say to book the major things or the things that will sell out fast ahead of time and leave the rest of your schedule open, because having some downtime to just be with no agenda can honestly be really nice and relaxing. And it will give your trip a lot more flexibility and freedom. The next tip I have for you is to not make choices out of anxiety or obligation. Let everything marinate. Not sure where to go yet? Let it marinate. Not sure what activities to get into? Let it marinate. You don't have to rush into decision making, and especially when you're traveling, it's really important that you make decisions from a level-headed state of mind. And if you have to quickly decide on doing something, just choose the option that feels best for you in that moment. And if it ends up not being the best and most ideal outcome, then it just becomes a learning experience. And the next tip that I have for you is that it's okay to say no to things, and it's okay to ask for the things that you need. This is your experience solo traveling, so you ought to have it in the way that you truly want and in a way that makes you feel safe and comfortable. And there have been times when I've traveled where I said yes to things that I didn't actually want to do, or I didn't speak up for the things that I needed. And this led me into having some pretty unfulfilling experiences and honestly some regret because I wasn't staying true to myself. But it's okay to set boundaries and to say no to certain things. And it's okay to assert your needs and let people know what it is that you desire. And you're not being rude or a burden by doing so. Also, when you're solo traveling, who says you have to be by yourself the entire time? This could be an incredible opportunity to meet new people and join groups for solo travelers or get involved in different things and events. When I was in Costa Rica, I didn't spend the entire time all by myself. I actually booked a women's yoga retreat for 7 days, and then I spent the last 3 days by myself. But booking groups and being involved with other solo travelers or other people in general can help you to feel safer and like you're not totally on your own. And that can be so comforting, especially if this is your first solo trip. And some people love the total isolation solo travel, but that's just personally not my jam. I always love to go out and meet people when I'm solo traveling. And if I'm going to a different part of the world, it's so interesting to me to see how other people live their lives and to actually get to know some people other than the people that I'm familiar with. Another quick tip that I have for you is that if you're leaving your home country and you're going to a different country that speaks an entirely different language as the primary language, it would really benefit you to at least learn a few of the travel phrases and vocabulary of that language. Because there might be certain instances where you might have to communicate with someone who speaks that language, or you might have to read certain signs. So educating yourself on just a few phrases or words or sentences before you go can honestly make a huge difference when it comes to getting around. And the last tip that I have for you is the most important one. The most important thing that you need to take with you while you are solo traveling is an open mind. Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't say that, Laura. I was hoping that wasn't it. Yep, that's it. The main thing that stops most of us from solo traveling is our own minds. Not our actual experience of how scary it is, not because we know the dangers firsthand, but because of the thoughts that we have of how scary and dangerous it might be. But in order to do anything that you want to do in life, you have to have an open mind. You have to go into it with the idea that this is going to teach me something, I'm going to learn here, and I'm going to gain something from this experience. Our minds are always going to gravitate towards the worst case scenarios, but you have to train yourself to imagine what great things can come out of an experience like this. And so many great things can come out of solo traveling. Also, you have to be willing to expand your worldview, because not everywhere that you go is going to be like home. Especially being from the Western world, so many of us are so comfortable in our bubbles with our convenience and our familiarity and our food and just everything like that, to the point where stepping out of that convenience and that comfort bubble and putting ourselves in a completely different part of the world can feel really intimidating. But one of the greatest things that I've learned while solo traveling is that traveling is one of the best and most influential forms of education. And we only really learn things by having experiences, by being in certain environments and places firsthand. And when you observe how other cultures live their lives, it makes you see how different the rest of the world is. And that can really take you out of a narrow frame of mind and truly expand the way that you see this world. So now I'm going to shift over to talking about some lessons that I've learned in my solo traveling journeys. One of the lessons that I've learned is that you can do hard things. You can face discomfort, and solo travel requires a lot of discomfort. But I realize that it's always the thoughts that we have before doing something that makes the action seem harder and more scary than it actually is. And it's really just our minds that tell us that we can't do something before we even try to do it. And since we have this thought that I can't do this thing, we never actually show ourselves that we can. When you do things out of your comfort zone, it trains you to be able to handle discomfort more in your daily life. It's like a muscle. The more that you use it is the more that you strengthen it. And even if you travel in the lap of luxury and go to 5-star resorts, there is always a chance that you might face some form of discomfort while solo traveling. So it's not about escaping the discomfort, it's learning how to adapt to it, how to manage it, how to be okay with it. And this ties into the second lesson that I learned. Sometimes making changes in your life requires you to take action and to take leaps of faith and get out of your comfort zone. And recently I've been desiring change in my life for a while now, and I realized that the quickest way to see changes in your life is to start taking action, because we can wait around for life to change in the direction that we hope it will change in, or we can be the ones to start making those changes happen. And this, more often than not, requires us to start taking steps and leaps of faith in that direction. Even if you don't know the exact outcome or you don't know where a decision will lead, when you start taking leaps of faith, you start energetically shifting your life and your timeline. And sometimes the way forward is really unclear, but something that I also realized is that the path is created by taking the next step, even if you don't know exactly where it's going to lead you. The third lesson that I learned is that travel, especially solo travel, is going to require you to take a deeper look at yourself. A quote my therapist often tells me is, "Wherever you go, there you are." So no matter where you go, you will always be with yourself. A lot of us have this idea that travel is a great way to just escape who we are, escape our lives, escape our troubles, escape ourselves. But I learned that travel is a huge magnifying glass, and it will only magnify what is within you. Travel is just going to show you more of who you are, and it might sound like a scary thing, but the greatest catalyst to growth is to look at yourself and to develop a healthy relationship with yourself. And solo traveling is going to help you get to know yourself deeper. It will help you to build self-trust and self-reliance and faith in who you are. And all of these things can lead to greater self-confidence and security in yourself. The fourth lesson that I learned is that you are going to make mistakes. Mistakes are inevitable, but you just have to learn how to find peace with that. Nobody gets it 100% right, especially if you're in a brand new environment and you don't know anything, or you don't know anyone, or you don't know much about the place, or you don't speak the language. Mistakes are just simply common and unavoidable. But just because you might make a few mistakes, or a lot of mistakes, doesn't mean that you shouldn't go. Mistakes are a part of the process, and they teach you better than anything else can. And every single mistake that I've made solo traveling has taught me what I should or should not do better. And each time that I travel, I just get better at it because the mistakes that I've made have taught me how to be better at it. And the last lesson that I learned is that everything is about trust. Trust is the biggest thing that you need to bring with you, apart from an open mind, when you solo travel. And a huge mindset that I carry with myself at all times is that every single thing that happens is working out for my highest good. Whether it be pleasurable or painful, good or bad, it's all working out for my highest good. And having a grounding mindset like that to return to whenever you go somewhere can be really helpful when it comes to finding peace. So I just say to trust in whatever thing makes you feel the most anchored and grounded, because that's crucial for you to keep your peace and to be able to trust the process as you travel. Solo traveling has helped me to develop such a deep sense of trust and reliance and peace and groundedness within myself. And so solo travel will reveal to you how smart and capable you actually are. Because when you actually put yourself in situations where you prove to yourself that you can do something, you realize that you are actually capable of so much more than you think that you are. You just have to be the one to get out of your own way. But I hope that this video has inspired you. If you feel that urge in your soul to go on a solo trip, I hope that I've convinced you to do so. But there are so many things waiting for you on the other side of making this decision. And the only way to know what those things are is to go and find out. But just know that I believe in you, but I just want you to believe in yourself. I'll see you guys next time.